What is going on, gunfighters? Welcome to Gunfighter Life, the podcast where we talk about guns, gunfighting, tactics, ballistics, sometimes just some cool, fun gun content, as in today's episode. We do that the right way, with God at the center, Judeo-Christian values, and real-world first-hand experience. I am not going to put in the bio. It will be in the show notes. Blessed be the Lord my rock, who trains my hands for war and fingers for battle. Psalm 144. Today, let's talk about some cool old 22s. Ye olde cool 22s. I threw this out there. It came up. Somebody posted a picture in the group chat of a cool old 22 they came across. And it got me thinking about all the really, really cool 22s. Now, there are a lot of really cool old 22s for a lot of reasons. A lot of times 22s, unless we're talking about a revolver, 22s are often more affordable to manufacture than the equivalent centerfire. Also, kids and shooting 22 go together like peanut butter and jelly. I was just blessed to take the neighbor's daughter out shooting again today. She asked me yesterday if we could go shooting. I wasn't able to do it yesterday, but I told her today, let's do some shooting. I took her out. We shot some 22. I grew up shooting with a 22. Maybe you grew up shooting with a 22. Because of that, because a lot of people start out with a 22 and they're good for the rest of your life. They're not just good when you're a kid. They're not like you shoot the 22 until you move up to 9mm and you don't shoot the 22 anymore, at least I hope not. Or you shoot the Ruger 1022 until you're ready for a AR-15 and then a SCAR 17 and then you never shoot the 22 again. I shoot 22 rifle and handguns a lot. And I can shoot a lot of different things. I have a several thousand-yard range right behind the house that I was shooting on today. I can shoot all kinds of stuff. But I often shoot with the 22 because if I'm practicing my draw, if I'm practicing, rifle fundamentals, if I can do that with the 22 and get a lot more reps in and be efficient and effective at nailing down the fundamentals while costing less money, why wouldn't I do that? Not to mention they're still great at small game. So for all those reasons and more, there are a lot of 22s kicking around out there. Also, the 22 long rifle has been with us in one form or another since the 1800s. So that's a lot of history with that cartridge and a lot of guns chambered in that cartridge. And a lot of companies, some that are still with us and some that aren't, have made 22s. Stevens. Now, Stevens is still around. I think they're a subsidiary of, or under Savage. I don't know that they still make any Stevens 22s, but there's a lot of those old Stevens 22s, a lot of those old Savage 22s, a lot of old Winchesters, old Remingtons, H&R, Harrington and Richards, a lot of those old 22s kicking around. Anything from a single shot to bolt actions, lever actions. And sometimes they take some chances on stuff and do some strange things like feeding from the stock. Like the old nylon 66 or 77. I didn't want to get into models yet, but let's start with those. Those are really cool old 22s. They were kind of unique and they were some of the first guns to widely use polymer. And they kind of look like wood, and they were kind of made to be really affordable, but they turned out to be really good, reliable, lightweight, innovative 22s. So the Remington 66 and 77 nylons, those are really cool guns. My best friend when we were growing up, he had a little, I think it was his dad's. We'd go out and shoot all kinds of stuff we probably weren't supposed to with it, but it was a little single shot lever action, meaning it had a lever and you dropped the lever and it kind of worked like a falling block or a Martini Henry. I can't even remember who made it, but you drop the lever and then you single load around, kind of like it was a falling block. That was a really cool 22. I don't even remember who made it, but I still remember what it felt like and what it looked like in my hands. Now, I have a really cool old 22 that I picked up not that long ago, and it was because I got the CZ22, what is it, 527 or whatever. I wasn't real happy with it. It was a real pretty gun, but it didn't shoot as well as I wanted it to for the money I spent on it. It was okay. I'm not going to say it was a garbage gun, but I wasn't real happy with it. I found an old comm block trainer, like an old Soviet Union or Chinese. I don't even know exactly who made it. Maybe N.R.A. But it looks very much like a Mosin Nagant trainer or an SKS trainer. It's a bolt action. It's got very similar sights. It's got that Soviet Union kind of lacquered wood aesthetic. And it's a shooter. It's got phenomenal iron sights that are regulated out to, I think, 200 yards in different increments. Fantastic. It's a good shooting gun. I'm happier with that than I was. I got it for $250 recently. I'm happier with that than I was with the CZ. I like that gun. That's probably the only cool old 22 that I have. But this podcast today is not really about me. One of the reasons I'm doing this is I posted, and I got a bunch of traction, more than normal, on the Patreon site of cool old 22s that you guys like. The first one I have some experience with that Matt posted, the Browning SA-22. Looks sleek, never owned one though. Now the Browning SA-22 is unique in that it's been around a long time and it's still being made. It is really cool, it is really sleek. It's a semi-auto. They may make different versions of it. I believe some of them are a takedown. They may all be takedowns. They also feed from the stock, which is kind of unusual. They're light, they're sleek, they're maybe not as light as you can get some 22s today because they are, metal and wood, but they are real sleek. They are a really good small game hunting gun. They have that wonderful Browning craftsmanship. They even have some fancier models with engraving and things like that. If you were looking for like a 22 to pass down, that was something a little bit more special, a little bit more unique, you might look at one of these. They are really cool guns. Luke says a Springfield Springfield 84C bolt action. Currently had a Savage 64 and Mark II. That's not really old, so we'll stick with the Stevens Springfield 84C. Looks like a classic bolt action 22. Basic no frills budget, but get it done kind of bolt action 22 rifle. And again, those old Stevenses, those are good guns. Somebody here said the Colt Woodsman. That is like the old school creme de la creme 22 semi-auto handgun. Those are awesome. I mean, what else could be said about those except they're fantastic. They're just really cool. That old school Colt craftsmanship that is really, really good. Kick it up a notch. They're really good guns. The Colt Woodsman, I think they made some other variants that were called other things, but those old Colt semi-autos, really cool. They made some really nice models of that as well. Not cheap, but if you have one or you're looking for a really fine older 22 handgun, those are pretty cool. That was from John, and John gives us a list here. The Remington Model 552 Speedmaster. I had one of these. This is a really cool gun. And what makes it, well, one, it's just a good old Remington that shoots really well like old school Remingtons used to. Beautiful gun, but they're a semi-auto. But unlike many semi-autos, they're designed to feed and fire shorts, longs, and long rifles. If you're looking for a good semi-auto apocalypse gun in a 22, it wouldn't be your worst choice. A lot of more modern guns that are phenomenal, like a 1022, they're not going to reliably feed shorts, longs, and long rifles. The Speedmaster, it's got a really small kind of unusual bolt, but whatever they did, whatever kind of spring system, delay system they used, whatever they did, it's designed to shoot shorts, longs, and long rifles. Now that's not totally unique. There's lots of lever actions that will do that, or bolt actions that might do that, pump actions that might do that. However, a semi-auto that will do that is pretty unique. And aside from the apocalypse thing, if you just have lived through ammo shortages recently, which if you're old enough to be legally shooting by yourself, you probably have. A lot of times a 22 long rifle will dry up, but 22 long can still be found. And a lot of guns today won't shoot those reliably. So you may be able to get and shoot 22 longs if you had that gun without digging into your stash. That Remington 522 Speedmaster is a really cool gun. I have one, kind of wish I'd have kept it. Really cool gun. He lists a Winchester Model 69. This is a beautiful gun. Really cool. Peep sight. Just, I imagine is a shooter too. If it's made anything like the old Winchester centerfires, it's going to be a shooter. Really cool, beautiful, kind of elegant bolt action 22 from Winchester. The old Winchester Model 69. He also mentions the Model 75, which looks like that gun, but even more beautiful, even more refined, fine checkering. I don't know if they all had that, but the pictures I'm looking at, they're beautiful looking bolt action Winchester 22s. And he also lists the 52B Target, which is a really fine looking competition shooting 22. Very good iron sights on there, like good peep aperture sights. Really, really cool guns. Now, a couple of the ones that weren't mentioned that I'm going to throw in, the old Marlin Model 39As, lever action 22s. Some of them are takedowns. That is really cool. I wish I still made those, and I wish I made them in a 22. Now, everybody knows about the Marlin Model 60, so I'm just going to skip over that one. Marlin did also make some bolt action magazine fed 22s. A lot of people know about the Marlins. Some other ones back in the day, a lot of companies commissioned their own rifles and a lot of times their own 22s and shotguns under their name. You might see some marked Western Auto. You might see some marked Sears. That was a real common one. Maybe some other department stores. A lot of these were similar and were made by big manufacturers, but just had that name on there. So a lot of times these aren't as collectible. So if you're looking for a really good shooter, or you're just looking for really cool things to collect, these really old odd 22s, I'm not a gun collector, but if you're looking for something cool and affordable and fun that you can shoot and collect that isn't going to break the bank, you might look at some of these older, more obscure 22s. And I will throw out there the Cooeys for you Canadians up in the Great White North. Of the guns you're still allowed to have up there, I think those old Cooey 22s are probably in the list. So, yeah, a lot of really cool old 22s. And this was not an exhaustive list. Don't be like, I can't believe you didn't talk about the... This is not an exhaustive list. This is just a list of a very few to get you thinking about how many really cool 22 rifles and handguns there are out there. There's a lot of current production really cool 22s, but a lot of the old school ones, there's a lot of really cool ones out there. And I guess that's kind of the whole spirit of the episode. With that, guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for all that you do. Please consider becoming a patron. You can be part of the chat, be part of the posts, and post your favorite old 22s or vote on your favorite, picks for new episodes, and just be a part of a really cool community and support the podcast. So consider becoming a patron. Should be a Patreon link in the show notes. Your tactical tip of the day. We talked about old school 22s. How about an old school gun support product? And I'm not sponsored by these guys, but Ballistol. Ballistol's been around a long time. A really, really long time. I want to say World War I. I could be wrong about that, but it's old, and it's still good. I wouldn't go chugging a bottle of it, but it's a non-toxic gun cleaner. I really love the smell. If you like the smell of black licorice, which I do, it's phenomenal. It's got a really good smell to it. It's good for other things like cleaning wounds, right? Good for working with leather, which I use it for that sometimes. Ballistol, really cool old school gun product. If you're not familiar with it, you might want to get some and check it out. With that, your tactical verse of the day. A short, beautiful passage from Deuteronomy 20. Today, you are on the verge of battle with your enemies. Do not let your heart faint. Do not be afraid, and do not tremble or be terrified because of them. For the Lord your God is he who goes with you to fight for you against your enemies, to save you. Thanks for listening, and have a blessed day.